Two, there we go. Our mic is working. One, two, obviously, is not going live. Hello. No. To run XSO overlay for it. Hold on. Hey there, Blue. 1 second. Oh, god damn it. The stream information. I have not updated it.
Oh.
It's okay. It's okay. I'll update it later. Yes. Okay, OBS. I gotcha. So, docs, stream information. There we go. Let's make this. How do I do this? Day 7. There we go. Oh, son of a. Hold on. I'm having a bit of technical difficulty. There we go. Sorry, I'm here. Worry not. It should be stable, I hope. Damn, even the rain made it to the. Yep, it sure did. Why, hi there, Zach. I'm glad you were able to save your stamina until you're here in the live. So, hold on. Let me catch up to what's happening with the apartment, okay? After I finish setting up my overlay. I haven't even. I'm not complaining though. Beth, thank you. So 10 seconds. Lock. Perfect. Okay. Anywho, so as you may notice, it's raining incessantly over at my background, which is also what's happening. Well, currently. So earlier this morning, I decided to go paint my roof. Well, not the roof, the window waterproofing stuff, right? And obviously, it needs at least 24 hours in order to cure. It has not been 24 hours yet, and the weather has come pouring in. I hope all my efforts is. What do we call this? Not for naught. Is that how they say it in English?
Mm-hmm.
Not for naught, right? And yeah, we'll see tomorrow when I check my apartment. I hope it's not flooded like where I am right now. Hey, again. Hello, chat. Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, everybody.
Beth couldn't even wait a minute now.
Beth would just buy the man an apartment. What's this? We have from Z. I wonder who Z is. And then we have one from Anonym. You almost tricked me to saying the 100k point thingy. Anonym, yeah. Anywho, if you missed it, you missed it. Where were we? Right. Now, you may notice we have a secondary bar chat. It was because of the weather. Nobody could predict that there would be multiple storms coming in since the other week. And that has pushed back my plans. One of those being pushed back would be the schedule. So I have to go lease an extra month, and I had to negotiate with the landlord for me to be able to continue renovations while I still live. It's a little bit of a convoluted thing, but it involves money. Because rent. And then secondly, I have to go deal with the water ingress damage. Thankfully, Beth here has suggested a wonderful machine called a wet vacuum, which I will do so. So I'm gonna wet vacuum all the nooks and crannies of the apartment because on the surface it may be dry. But for certain, there is going to be water lying around on the corners and the cracks, which I have to fill up as well after vacuuming it, and then I have to remove all the damn mold and mildew that has formed before I can cover it up. Ooh, a lot of work. Hi there, Missing. Jules, thank you for the subscription. Sorry, I'm going on about the apartment again without reading chat. Yes, wet vacuums are awesome. I have never owned one in my life. I've only seen them in like the TV. It has like this nozzle that also sprays water while sucking it up at the same time. Or am I thinking of a different apparatus? Beth can just give everyone a share. So, you know, he's gonna walk in carrying a big old bag of money, right? And say, hey guys, come on, take $20 each. Let's pretend we're, it's like a group thing. No, it actually is a group thing. I recall the names of those that have supported me. And still is. They are a godsend, says Misty. Hold on. Let's go greet TikTok. Hi there, TikTok. Hi, Emma. Blechy. Work. You lost your goggles. I'm simply wearing it on my thighs. It seems chat has been really liking the look of me not having it on. Look at Vesper. She doesn't sport her goggles, but she looks just as fine, right?
Exactly. I mean, closest I could get now, since I don't necessarily wear them anymore. It's just putting my glasses on my head. But I can't see.
That's true. I actually envy that little system that she has. Makes her look really smart. Look smart. She's smart. I'm kidding. You're smart.
I was about to say.
There's a difference between being smart and intelligent. You're very intelligent. I'm joking. You're fine.
It's okay.
Anyhow. Thanks, Jules. I appreciate it. Other than that, how are you all doing? Well, I just gave a briefing of what's going on over at the 5th floor. And Vesper is... How are you?
Doing good. Had plenty of sleep, ate a good breakfast. Not really too much going on today. So, good.
Good. Good is always good. I'm fumbling with my camera. Wait. Okay. Let's go focus. So Beth gave a gift to Jade Gamer Wolf. Beth, thank you. You know, how should I say this? When I looked at the apartment earlier and I saw the amount of mess and the things I have yet to unpack and assemble, which is the bed frame and the various shelves and whatnot that I ordered, and the flooring that has yet to be cut into shape and laid out on the ground, and then the walling, is like, oh my goodness, there's so much to do. Which means I will probably take a stream break. If it dries up again tomorrow, which means I can put my second layer waterproofing. If it dries up tomorrow and the weather persists to be sunny until this weekend, I may have to take a week off from streaming just so I can focus on the apartment and somehow make my deadline. Because I told the landlord that I will sign things on the 15th. So that's sort of like the time crunch I have. And it's already the end of the month. Oh man. I really have to haul butt. Thanks, Jules. Hi there, Grey Storm. Hi, Axiom. Of course, thanks. About to put some lasagna in the oven. An excellent thing to do. I hate getting food ads when I'm hungry. Ah, yes. They know what you desire. Like this is a unflattering angle. Give it lower a bit here. Hi there. There. A bit of a horizontal offset. Oh yeah, by the way. So if you drop by the media channel, where's the camera? You may have noticed the prop I'm using is actually that plastic stool. That's why I have a stool in game that, well, it's wood, so it looks a bit more dignifying. So the plastic stool that you saw in the video is the same thing I use in streams. See, it's quick to adjust, it's light, it's omni-sit-rectional, there's no like backrest that'll get in the way. And it lets me do my usual posture, which is this. So yeah. Thank you, stool. You've served me for a good 6 years. And you will still serve me for longer. I was hesitant about using it because upon closer inspection of this plastic thing I have on my bum, it's actually full of the white glue waterproofing sealant I have, and it's not completely dry, and I had to do a bit of tissue work in order to get it sittable. Hello, Nafriti. We're taking a stool now. Remember, a craftsman should always be thankful for the tools that enables him to do his craft. If that makes sense. So yes, my stool is my craft. If that sounds terrible, never mind. Is she so big? I don't know. Vesper's just...
I'm shorter than
sizable.
Gab. Is it just the camera angle that makes me look bigger? The fact that I'm just sitting on the railing?
It's just the angle. There you go. Have some Vesper chat. Want to zoom down? There you go.
Oh.
Not very flattering though. What's this? You know those billboards along the highways? There was one for a store that made stools, and it said, "Come see our stools." Ah, very funny. Disgusting.
Gross.
Gross. With a capital G. Thank you so much. Now, where were we? Funny thing, the rain is. It's that one element you have no control of stopping, but you have the power to avoid. Normally, rain isn't something you worry about once you're in an established home. It's you go inside your room, you won't get wet. But when you're establishing a home and the rain does get in, that's where the problem lies. Called an umbrella. It stops the rain. Ah, yes. You know, sometimes you forget this apparatus na freeing. Question: have you been a therapist before? Because your voice sounds like one. A therapist? Me, please. Of course not. If I was, I probably would have lost my license long ago. Ah, yes. Ever seen my bad life advice redeems? That's what I would give my clients, my patients. The funny people who toss money my way and just blabber on while sitting on my couch that I disinfect with Lysol every day. Yes?
Not to mention the fact that even if he sounds like a therapist, don't take this as an opportunity to trauma dump, vent, etc. It's good vibes here. We don't want anything too drastic here, honestly. We're
Remember,
just here to chill, here to talk.
he's also my security, so you should listen to her. Look, I've seen comments in other videos that are talking about me saying, oh, he banned me for this and that. Chat, just to be clear, she handles the chat, okay? When I ban, I like specifically call the people out and you'll know why you're banned. At least you have video evidence of the reason. Oops. But for every other else,
more
yeah,
stealth.
more stealth. It means you broke the rules, you were spamming or asking nonsense or this and that, you know, the usual. Head of security.
Do a
best friend.
backflip. Can you bark? Can you? Yada yada yada. Nope.
Yeah, these people. Anywho, where were we? Yeah, I get that, says Ken. I mean, I gotta be like my apprentices and blame the tools, then pull out an 18K loan on a tool. 18K? My goodness. What's that, machining? Axel says, speaking of all the bad life redeems, you missed one earlier. It was about how to sleep with insomnia. Where? Really? Who redeemed? Why am I moving into the reading? Who redeemed it? I can't believe I missed one. So, how to sleep with insomnia? I was asked this before. It was a similar question. Gabos, how do I fall asleep and I can't? Well, as with any person suffering a surplus of energy, it involves a bit of running. A bit of running, a bit of trust, and bending your head 90 degrees down while you aim at the closest concrete wall. And by trust, I mean you do it while closing your eyes. Oh, trust me, 9 out of 10 times, you're gonna be rendered asleep. Hi there, Kagibushi. Joel. Okay, so you get a hammer. Oh, look, not everybody has a hammer, surprisingly, in their house. We like her. She's powerful, says Boo Boo from TikTok. Oh, she is. Trust me, she's not level 100 for nothing. Look at that. Ever so deadly. Her fiery orange horn and hair and her corny ears are definitely weapons of mass destruction. Warning signs in the natural world. Have you ever seen a poison toad? Except she's orange. Yeah.
I'm orange. Toad.
Yeah.
I don't think. Hold on, are there orange poison dart frogs? Probably.
If there are orange cats, I'm sure there are orange. Wait, hold on. There are green toads, but there are no green cats. Anywho, hello, Howler. Don't forget the nap time rag. If you are adept at chemistry and have access to surplus chemicals, then the funny nap time rag will work. Are you gonna watch Primitive War? What is that? Is that a bunch of dinosaurs versus cavemen? Not everyone has a hammer. How will do percussive maintenance? Or a percussive shutdown? Exactly. See? You know, a brick is a unwieldy structure. Often a cause for many a overshoot at attempts of being asleep. But sometimes a little bit too effective. In 35 minutes, I will have lasagna in front of me. I still have not touched the second tray of lasagna in my freezer. Let's just say eating one tray in the span of 6 hours makes you want to have a pause at things. Yes. Lasagna, yes. Do you have a favorite dinosaur? I remember there being a game in the Super Nintendo Entertainment System back then. It was A dinosaur with sunglasses. I think it was a T-Rex, and then he had sneakers on, and he was skateboarding. It was like a 90s suburban dino thing. I don't know. That's what you made me remember. Gubrick says, my favorite dinosaur is Geb. You have earned a gold star this stream. Go. Even though I'm not a dinosaur, but I totally get the intent of the message. Gebs, are your hands behaving today? As you can see, I'm using indexes this time. It's still fresh out of the oven, so it's not fully calibrated yet. But it works to an extent. You know the Mr. Bean episode? He discovered a funny gesture. Yes, Gubrick calling me a prehistoric streamer. Rather Jurassic there, aren't you, Gab? Completely Pliocene. I don't want to break illusions, but I've never eaten lasagna, says Bastian Alexander. Well, I suggest looking for a reputable restaurant in which the 5-star reviews mention lasagna as being one of their top dishes served, and then try. My suggestion is get the classic. Beef and a lot of cheese, sometimes mushrooms. Is that all you eat? Lasagna. Every time I'm here, you're going to make eat lasagna after stream. I mean, we drink water every day. What's wrong with lasagna?
Mm.
Where is my drink? I could have sworn I brought something out to imbibe upon. Okay, look at Vesper while I look for my drink. When I say look at Vesper, you're gonna see my arm. That's what. Hold on. There. Where is my... Oh, hi.
That is just a
Hi.
big look at your eye.
Yep, hold on. I'm trying not to clip into the camera while I... Where is my fridge? Wow, that's deep. There we go. Okay. Sorry. My drink was in a inaccessible place. Vesper, TikTok, please. You keep on
Yep,
letting
of course,
TikTok
on it.
slip by, Vance. Okay, let's unscrew this. Ah. Thank goodness. Okay, where were we? Now that we're well hydrated. Somebody clip that. No. Clip what? Here we go again, Vesp.
Oh boy. And think that I immediately caught that.
Nope. I see things faster than you do, which is not what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to act even
Let's
before I
see.
prompt it. I'm doing good, Garrison. What's this? Kagibushi says, I was trying to get a selection form sent in today for the job on the subway. I couldn't because I need to write my second surname. Second surname? There's a first name, a middle name, optional, and a last name, right? Funny, I don't have a middle name, Chad. I just have a first and last name. Anywho, continuing. I couldn't write it in either. So what I did was edit the tag for the second surname's value and it worked. So basically, I touched the code in the web page. Well, congratulations. Maybe that was the true test all along, right? I need to lock myself with Google Loku. Gebus, Gebus. A second surname that is not government approved. For the longest time, I've always thought I had the middle name. Should I say? It's the name of it's one of the names in the Half-Life series. A favorite said by the Jame. Yes, that is my actual middle name, Vesper. If you know, you know.
I haven't touched the game in like.
All right,
Oh,
so
I haven't played that since
imagine
2020.
my brother would always call me that. My teachers would always call me that because it sounded so different from my first and last name. So whenever I go to school, imagine they would go, Mr. Freeman. I'm glad you could make it today.
Oh,
I'm
wait.
like, wait.
Oh, wait, no, that's your middle name.
It's my middle name. My middle name is Freeman. Okay, so I was like,
Wow.
Mr. Freeman. Everybody in the faculty just somehow, for some odd reason, wants to call me Mr. Freeman. There was the math teacher calling me Mr. Toot. Of course, I'm gonna say my last name. So, Mr. Freeman. The funny thing is, here I am playing Half-Life 1 in the PlayStation. Yeah, it released in the console. I was playing Half-Life 1. And I'm like, are you sure these teachers just didn't hear it from the game? And, you know, it doesn't help that I was wearing glasses too. And I had the same hair.
Oh,
The only difference was I was, 16 at the time. Ooh, now somebody can roughly estimate how old I am. Raymond,
oh God, just imagine
do you have a group?
sitting there, spacing
Oh.
off in the middle of class, and then Freeman.
They're waiting for you, Gordon. At the test chamber. I love Half-Life 1. I will still never forget my favorite line there. It's like, why do we all have to wear these ridiculous ties? It's said by Klein. Do you know the the Half-Life scientist, he with the receding hairline, the thick glasses. How many scientists were there? There was the Einstein, the Einstein-looking guy. There was Klein. There was the
I think
African
there
American
was
one that you see in Half-Life 2.
6 different types.
There were 6 different scientists.
Yeah, I think in like the first Half-Life, like the main 3 were reused over and over.
Oh, is that so? Rise and shine, Mr. Freeman. Rise and shine. I like the G, man. We were always joking about him in high school. Oh, you having controller troubles, Van?
Yep, right.
Go align your
It's not
thing.
cooperating.
Gordon starts with G. Gabo starts with G. Coincidence. There may or may not be development news about Half-Life 3 soon. There we go next. What's that? Are you Kaiju number 8? No, I see the reference. No. The old 4chan. When 4chan was... 4chan, Filthy Frank. The rage memes. Yes! Half-Life 2 came out more than 2 decades ago. No, Half-Life 1 came out more than 2 decades ago. Man. I still feel bad whenever Barney, the security guard, would blow up during the few segments in which we have him along in the story. Yeah, I'm not sure about that, Doran. Gabe Newell descends from Gabe Newell. Funny, that is also my nickname. Well, except the Newell part. Ah, yes. Many people were asking where my name came from. Gabos. You know, as I've said, I'm just hiding my name in plain sight. Change one letter, and it's a completely different identity. Gabe. Poor Barney exploded before his time. The grenades in Half-Life 1 were surprisingly very accurate with their explosive power. I got stuck in the air with this giant tentacle. Oh, you mean the thing that hooks you? The ting, and then you have to sneak around. That was traumatizing when I was playing through that level as a child. Scary.
You're just chilling out, walking around, and then all of a sudden you get yoinked up.
Oh, yoinked up? No, you were diced up to pieces. So imagine
Yeah,
a
no?
giant chef's
Yeah, I
knife.
know.
Like
Yeah.
20 feet long and yes.
Yep, you are dead. Chilling out for 5 seconds and then you are dead.
Oh. I remember there were a lot of unusual enemies in Half-Life 1. The funny thing on the ceilings that would drop tentacles and suck you up. And then there was the giant nutsack enemy with 4 legs. What's the name? The Gonarch? The Gonarch. Yeah.
Gonarch.
The Gonarch. The Gonarch was an enemy you would see on the alien plane of Sen. It was as I described. Oh God, out of it. Took me a long while to realize the name and how it looked. And the way it attacked was by swaying its thing at you and stuff would fly.
Yep. Yeah.
Ooh,
Oh.
amazing. Greetings. Hi there, Nornex. What avatar is this? This is Gebus's Abby. I'm joking. I'm using the Hydra Gaia by Tokyo Zilla. Ard says the orange box was the whole reason I signed up for Steam in the first place many years ago.
8 months and counting.
You look at that, Mr. Sunseeker with 8 months going strong. Thank you, Matthew. I also noticed our music is rather low, is it not? A small increase in the volume. There we go. Is that better? I see the rain has followed you into VR. Oh, tell me about it, mid-scenes. Yep. Thanks, Rain. Thanks, Rain.
There we go. My hand is where it's supposed to be rather than having to have it all the way over here
I'll
just
go
for it to
back.
be here. Same headset, similar issues.
Yes. Best
I
Pro.
think you'd remember a few lives. Where Gab would have to limit the use of his hands because one was on the charger because it would go woo woo woo. And the other was working just fine.
Mm-hmm.
At a Quest Pro people.
That's why I'm using the index.
Oh, and look at that. Did it again. I jinxed it.
Yeah. Vesper looks like she's about to fall from the railings. That's true. She needs to consider her safety by moving forward a teeny bit. Alpha Q Up says, I found you on Instagram Reels. I have enjoyed them for a while. Welcome to the live version of my Reels. It's not any more exciting than the already boring content I post. Sit back, relax, enjoy the stream. Hello, Bella. Artemis says, my Quest Pro does the hand floating away thing too. It's the Quest Pro. Their latest update completely screwed the headset and it's rather terrible. Ah, man, thank goodness. Thank goodness this thing exists. Same, I found you on Instagram. Nice. You know, if there's one thing I like about Instagram is the memes, right? It's unfiltered, it's prolific, it's the good old internet. But adult content like the 18 plus, like lewd stuff, does not exist there. Sure, there's like bikinis and whatnot, but unlike in X or Twitter, where you can see straight up, that stuff, I am thankful that it is as strict as it is right now. The same way TikTok enforces it. Oh, thank you, Nagisa. Remember that one day that Instagram started showing everybody that really bad? I don't know what you're talking about, Axel. Vesper, please scooch forward a little bit. I'm getting worried, says Blue. Oh, no worries, she's here.
I'm good.
She's good. See? Here, I even show you there. You're... There you go, perfect. Perfectissimo. You get to see Vesper, you get to see me. And this funny view. We need to adjust it. Behavior. This. Up. Oh, that's the trash. Hold on. Right. Anywho. What's a big move you're gonna do? That is me moving from apartment small to apartment big. Bigger play space.
It's a big
Okay,
quality
Axel.
of life upgrade.
We're not gonna talk about that particular topic, okay? Moving on. Default Unity trash bag. My connection is really bad today, says Ard. Oh, really? Yeah. Let's see. How do I do this? Toss it here. And mouse. Click. It makes it look like I'm buying the whole building, doesn't it? No. Right now, the fundraiser is more about damage control and the extra expenses that I did not take into account thanks to inclement weather. It started storming around a week and a half ago here in the Philippines, Jan. Really bad. If you're from here, you know what I mean. Storms to the left and storms to the right, and the monsoon. Funny rain clouds being pulled over Metro Manila. And that means incessant rain for more than 7 days straight. There was nasty floods, sometimes even making vehicles float away. If you check the news, July, Philippines, rain, floods, type it in Google, you'll see what I mean. Thank you, Lester. Of course it does. You're Filipino, yes I am. Hi there, Imaru. I'm gonna go make some food. I'll be back in a bit. You go make some good food, Axel. I love the quality of your average. Looks awesome. Are you capable of dropping the coin? Catch. There was an entire flyover bridge that got flooded in my grandma's town, says Carty. Well, floods, they happen. They happen all the darn time where we're from. They're bad, actually. I may understand a bit of what you're saying in Filipinos and Spanish. That's true, we do have a bunch of borrowed words, don't we? Trancaso, sikmura, and then the way we count things is 1, 2, 3, 4, 50. Trancaso, if you expose yourself to the rain, more often than not, you will get trancaso. Guapo. Guapo. It's something you can buy, Blue. It's in Gumroad. It's made by Lindy. Thanks, Jill. Ooh. Man. I think we are closer to how the Mexicans are compared to, let's say, actual Spanish. But a gentle reminder, for more than 300 years, the Philippines was occupied by the Spanish, and Christianity was heavily enforced along with other funny things. And then came the Americans, and then the Japanese, and then the Americans again. And then here we are, to the present. Independence. No, me, honestly, I would rather have China absorb us at this point. I'm not even gonna lie. It's gonna be better. Hot take, though. I know that's a really hot take, but oh, please. How badly mismanaged this country is. Ugh. Okay, we're getting political. I'm gonna grab it. I think China is a wonderful ally.
This thing's gonna smack you.
I need to borrow your orange whenever I do that. China, with its economic framework and plans for this and that. Anyway. Yes. Now, how about this? Have you seen how cool China is? How high of a standard they have on education, manufacturing, and everything else? They win wars not through brute force. They win wars through economics. It's fantastic, really. I would rather side with a nation who builds advanced infrastructure, new tech, and doodads, instead of a nation that allocates so much of its budget to develop things to blow up other people. Makes sense,
we've got more
right?
going to our military than our education system.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I could understand why.
Yeah, there's a few trade-offs. Yes, you're monitored by the state. But come on, the moment you signed up on the internet for anything, you are already on the database. There's nothing you think you can hide, chat. You walk into any place with cameras, your face is already tagged. Please. You think you're anonymous? No, you're not.
This day and age, even a VPN doesn't really mask
Doesn't do shit.
where you're
yes.
from, who you are. That just gives you access to things that you normally wouldn't be able to have access to. So, like, say you're using a VPN for Netflix. There's shows on there that you otherwise wouldn't get.
Then again, the Philippines is a strange melting pot of cultures if you think about it. It's very Americanized, very Chinese as well when it comes to the goods. We absolutely love Korea and Japan, right? and we're just like merging all these cultures together, and that's yes. And then you can't like really take out the roots of the Spanish occupation back then. You can call me Geb, last. No Spanish things in the Philippines. I mean, I like Spanish sardines. You know, the little oil, carrots, and also cucumbers or a jalapeno in a jar. It's delicious.
I'd have to take your word for that because I never had it.
Trust me, it's the best over some nice hot pandesal, like a small piece of bread.
Mm.
I might visit Manila on a business trip in spring, says Tianman. Well, good luck. Hope you enjoy the food when you drop by. Hello, Tana. I'd rather have pierogi. The last pierogi I had was very oily. Probably just the place I ordered it from. It wasn't the best, that's for sure. I should definitely sleep now, says Zach. Enjoy the rest of the stream. Zach, I thought you conked out like 30 minutes prior. You just dropped by to say hello. Please, get some rest. Come on, go to bed. Don't be like Reed, who eats cotton candy, the forbidden kind, just to stay awake. Oh, it's been okay, Nicotine. Thanks for asking. Well, earlier this morning, I spent around 3 or 4 hours painting every nook and cranny that needed to be waterproofed in my apartment to be. And now it's raining. Yes. Zach, come on. You need a rest. Please. It's not like I'm gonna have a super fantastic game night of a community hangout after stream today or anything. Oh my.
Seriously though, for your own health, it's better to just sleep rather than keep yourself awake.
What Vesper say? Game night? Oh, I don't know. I thought that the community meetups were a tad bit dull and we needed something with a bit more direction. Maybe some pool or something else we could think of. It's all up in the air. Let's see how well the stream goes tonight. And then we can decide what to do after. When is that? In 2 hours? But yeah, see you around, Zach. Sleep is indeed important. Okay, it's very, very important. I've been forgetting to join the Discord. By all means, come join. Morning.
Only barrier is a simple password.
That's true.
Shouldn't be hard to find.
Welcome back, Beth. Nice to see you. Wait, I could have sworn there was a more interesting angle. This one, the Vesper cam. Damn, there's the Vesper cam. Oh, I am now Wolf indeed. I'm glad you're able to use these things called eyes. I would worry about you if you thought I was the same purple guy that flips coins as well. Where is your friend from? Well, if you're asking about Vesper over here, she is from somewhere in the States. There's lots of corn there, last I heard.
Which
Lots and lots
and
of
also makes
corn.
things pretty humid, even if it's a colder state.
Hmm.
Which we've got higher humidity because we grow a lot of corn here. That's what I'm saying.
Ah, I see. Well, I'm glad you actually have crops that are growing. In some places, it's nothing but drought, and frankly, as inconvenient as this all may be, I would rather prefer to be in a rainy area than a place that is completely devoid of H2O.
Yeah. So not only does that make getting resources hard, that also means water, groceries,
Mm-hmm.
stuff of that nature is going to be a lot more expensive because there's a lot less access to water.
Precisely. It's raining in my city right now. It's very, very cold. Cold is nice when it's dry, but when you're wet, damp, drenched, cold is more than just a simple inconvenience.
Potentially even be life-threatening.
Oh, yeah, true. You're gonna get what we call trancazo. A revisiting of the word yet again. Thank you. Wolf is an acquaintance of mine, in case you're curious. We've met since last year. The classic corn sweat effect. Is the rain at least keeping the temperature down, Gab? Oh, yes, that's one of the things I enjoy when it's cold. It's cold because of the weather. Whoa, holy wet vacuum, holy. Beth, again, really wanting me to get that particular appliance. Yes, Beth, I will post it in the media channel. Thank you so much. If only I didn't have to pay taxes and duties, I would order from your company, Amazon. But unfortunately, anything over $200 from Amazon, if shipped to the Philippines, I have to pay a hefty fine for. Man, now after stream, during my downtime, I have to go to YouTube and do one of my favorite things. Watch reviews on household appliances. Oh, what? 19,000 kPa suction power. Self-sterilizing dirty water tanks. Of course, that sounds fantastic, doesn't it? I'm gonna check it out. Thanks, guys. Wow, Ard, my goodness, would you look at that? Surprise, surprise. Thank you as well. Miss Lady over here is named Vesper. To those that don't know, companion, co-agent, head of security, aka moderator, and many, many more.
So you better behave yourselves. I'm keeping my eyes on chat.
Remember, she's the one bonking you, not me, okay?
He's busy talking. I'm busy bonking.
Yeah. Ooh, Gap, you're so... Wait, I can't do the thing again. Hello? My ring finger got stuck. There we go. Gab, you're so mean. You ban people without notice. This, okay? Not me. Not me. Okay.
I'm just simply trying to keep up the peace for the stream, you know. No nonsense. No drama. No trauma.
Yes,
No ifs,
precisely.
buts, or coconuts.
Precisely. Only corn. What species are you in, my friend? That chat is what you call a Luna Beast. The Luna Beast version 1. Right? Very draconic in appearance. And yes, me, I am a Hydragea, a recently released, well, not so recent, maybe 2 months now, I think. Avi around in Gumroad. Yeah, in Gumroad, made by Tokyo Zilla. You mean painless? A painless execution. Yes, Kendall, precisely. That's very unfortunate. Vacuum Wars. Oh, you're right. There's that website, isn't it? I remember that. I must go do some work things, says Ard. We'll be back if stream is still going after. Ard, thank you so much again, alright? Good luck with work. You got this, champ. Hey there, Anubis. Nice to see you. Has it really been 30 minutes, Blue? Just like that, you have your lasagna. My goodness, that's so quick. Oh, there. Rainy water effect. No, Come on, a bit more. There we go. Just past the glass. But yes, doing good. I was giving chat an update over the apartment. I was able to paint the first waterproofing layer. I hope it's holding out because look, it's raining. It's like how it's raining right now, it's also raining at my place. I thought the sun would shine continuously. I need like 3 days at least of no sun in order for me to properly cure all the waterproofing that I've been painting.
Well, let's just hope it tacked up enough to keep water from getting in.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
Me having to deal with the more wet floors, more mold. Ugh. If there's any saving grace, at least the apartment I'm going to does not have carpeted floors. Imagine damp carpet filled with gunk like algae, mold, and mildew.
Ugh.
I will have to rip it
I
off
know,
and
I
throw
already
it
had
away.
to deal with that once.
Yeah.
Cleaning up after a basement flood. It was nasty.
Oh, I can imagine. Especially with all the stuff floating in your house that I've seen. Yeah, big yikes. At least it's not like roach soup of a water, right? Or the rat swimming pool.
Yeah, true. hmm
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
we don't have widespread issues with that. Because
Mhm.
number one, it's illegal to have rats here. Number two, actually got some pretty decent sanitary regulations here, so roaches aren't
It's-
exactly a big problem.
Sanitary regulations. Can you imagine that, chat?
Worst that we were gonna have is like garbage floating around in the water.
Yes.
But no rats, no roaches.
Great. Man, I want. Maybe one day we'll be graced with Beth showing how his house looks. If for those in my Discord, you've seen Beth's house, right? It's like one of his like rest houses or whatever. So it looks like one of those houses owned by celebrities, right? So I think it was like 5 floors high, and then it had like these nice, pristine windows and funny, expensive-looking architecture. Yeah, like the one in MTV Cribs, right? Beth, you gotta show us what it looks like indoors. You gotta show us like the ivory sculptures that you have and the gold-plated like staircases that we have to walk through. Let's not forget about the garage. Beth says, after I get somebody to help clean, it's far too much for me. My goodness, that's true. I think his army of butlers and maids, the fleet, is currently on leave or something. I don't know. Something about funny weather. But yeah, that aside, I really am curious. Like, how does a well-kept home look like? Like, what sort of furniture would you put in? What sort of collectibles would you have? Me, I guess it's predominantly all function over form. The only real vanities I have in my apartment would be my cheap aquariums and a few lights here and there. I have pics of both kitchens before I put all my coffee stuff in. Oh, you wanted to... No, you were tempted to get that espresso machine, weren't you? Right? That super expensive one. I've seen it. Even the Chinese knockoffs are so expensive.
What is it? The Keurig, Nesquik, whatever it is?
Yeah.
No, Keurig.
You know the thing where you have the twisty thing and then there's powdered coffee or the ground beans and then the milk frother, that thing. Yeah, the noise.
I've seen those.
Yeah, the noisy thing.
Sounds. It's either you can't. Sometimes you can't distinguish it between a child screaming and a milk froth.
Yeah. The milk frother. There we go. That's what it's called. Hi there, T. Billy. What's this? Haruk here says, it's bad when there's mold on where you live, especially. It's a small room because if you ever possibly inhale some of it that contaminates the air, it will harm your lungs. Oh, 100%. When I work in my apartment, well, starting today, I'm wearing a mask. I have to make sure. I also invested in a tall tower air purifier. It's like effective for 60 square meters, which is around twice as large as my current unit. So it should definitely do the job. I want to keep my place as clean and dust-free as possible. We don't want...
Especially since you've got a cat running around.
Yeah, I have me running around. He doesn't really shed much. Like, a few hairs here and there, but that's it. Hi there, driver. Nice to see you. Pleasure seeing you here. Oh, I have 2 espresso, a four grand one at home, and a 2. So 6 grand just on coffee making espressos. I think I can make an espresso by just buying a $3 jar of coffee and pouring hot water into it and then giving it to you. It's like I'm just gonna add a shot glass worth of water, just enough to stir and dissolve the powder. Man, 6 grand in coffee things. I wonder how exquisite of a serving these roasted delicacies are going to be should and when we visit and drop by as guests. You know, we're gonna be served the espresso on like cups from the Victorian era and everything.
I'd hope not, considering the amount of lead in the paint that I use to decorate them with.
Modernized, retrofitted Victorian era utensils. Beth said, I'll post the pics I had of the cleaner spots that I had. Try it. Okay, sure. No, but my request is a legitimate one, Beth. I'm curious as to how households that's different from Vesper and mine would look. Even my friends, I ask that, like, guys, what does your room look like? It's always fascinating to see how a person sorts their belongings, doodads, and collectibles, right? And then how they set their bed, how much pillows do they use? Do they have a long one? Do they use the super flat ones?
I mean, Gab already knows what my room looks like.
Oh, yeah. What's this? I mean, I do have 2 spare bedrooms. There we go. We can Airbnb over at Bev.
Nice.
We just have to like tend to the garden for each day of stay, right? And then sweep this enormous living space as payment. I think I'll take that.
Fair enough.
Look at food. I will look at it in a bit. Don't worry. If I look at it now, I'll probably end up being hungry. What's this? Don't worry, I found those cups at Goodwill to help the needy. The needy. 8 pillows, 6 blankets, the perfect amount. My room looks like a tornado ripped through it, but I know where everything is. Organized chaos, that's why.
Yes.
3 days and you're doing the dishes. Oh no. And right after one of his like midweek banquets, you know. Please, no more turkey and caviar. Sorry to do it. Imagine having to like clean a table for 20 on that evening while maintaining your clothes being clean, right? You have like a uniform.
We already deal with 5 people and it's hard to keep up as is.
It's hard to keep up with my own dishes. I'm sweating just thinking about it. Beth replies, mine is quite barren. Maps of every location I lived in, a bit of wall art and stuff. Truly the mark of the wealthy. Maps? My goodness. Have you seen like the 18th century mansions and everything? There always has to be that antique globe, right? The globe, a stack of books like left and right and like bookshelves, and then like maps that you have to this is the map to El Dorado. Like sort of deal. Always ready for an expedition. And then you have heads of the game, the legendary hunts that you have accomplished, yes. And then some antique weaponry on frame and display. Thank you, Camu Blues. Good Lord, I think I'm overthinking the password for the server. You probably are. If you weren't able to get it in the first 30 seconds, you're overthinking it. It's right there. What's this? 3D printed dioramas of landmarks you've been to and trains. You know, that actually sounds nice. I just never had the space to display anything in my apartment. It's pretty hot where I get, says Tian Man. I sleep in a sauna basically. Now, I know how that feels, buddy. Back then, when I didn't have access to air conditioning, sleeping in a room with no windows and just concrete up, down, left, right, forward, and backward truly was the oven experience. My goodness. When you wake up, you will have an impression of your body on the mattress you're sleeping from the amount of sweating you're doing. A prison cell for sure. I think prisons are more comfortable. Yep, you should be in the utility knife business with your leftover film. Look, multi-material printing produces a lot of poop. I don't know what to do with it. Axel says it sounds like effective weight loss while you're sleeping. It does, doesn't it? I experienced that too, says Haruxir. But somehow I get used to it and I'm able to sleep without any problems. Back then when I was younger, like elementary and early high school, usage of the air conditioning was very limited. I could have it a couple of hours on per day, just enough for you to fall asleep, and then it would turn off midway. So you can imagine when I wake up, like, why is it so hot? You slept like a baby, right? Because it's cold.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than like waking up in the middle of like the most comfortable sleep you've had in a good while. And then,
Yeah.
dear God, it's hot.
And then it's so hot. So hot. What language is that? English? I haven't spoken Tagalog in a bit. I experienced that too, says Haruxir. But somehow I get used to it and able to sleep without any problem. Oh wait, I just read that. Wow. Oh my mind must be going. Oh no. Kendall says, so my wife makes coasters and skulls with all that. She got a cheap toaster oven from Goodwill. Oh, you can put the leftover filament in like little molds, right? If I remember. Yeah.
Yep, and then melt it down. And you got coasters.
Wonder what I can make. I mean, I can only make so many coasters.
True, true.
What's this? What species are you? I am a unguba. I hope you got that. I'm sorry, I was speaking in like Nigerian. That means I am a Hydragea by Tokyozilla. Dragon-esque, looks sort of watery, aquatic in the design. Gives phenomenal coasters. Ah, yes. Do you know the way, brother? Yes, I know the way, Drax. I see you finally made it to the server. How did it feel when you finally managed to guess the ever so difficult password? Mhm. I'm glad you didn't give up. More tiger bees in the service, always welcome. You're a what? Oh no, you missed it, didn't you? Oh dear. Again, I'm not mean, Best. Yeah. I typed the password 3 times. Why will I? No, you do your own research. Tokyozilla, check out their Gumroad. By the way, chat, let me set expectations right now. The avatar base, if you find it, the Hydragea, this is a kit bash, okay? This is a kit bash with completely custom shaped face tracking. So you might say, wait, why is it not as high fidelity as the guy I saw on TikTok or Twitch? Okay, don't blame Tokyozilla for that. Don't blame Hans Creations for that, okay? I had to tweak this to my own parameters of design.
Simplest answer. Gab likes to tinker with things. He likes to tweak things as he pleases. And his standards just happen to be kit bashing, making it more high fidelity, giving it clothes.
I just mess around in Blender. I'm not the best. I'm very much a newbie in all this. Yes. But thank you, Miss Frame.
But he still manages to make it look great.
Chat, if it's hard to find I can't type the keyboard right now. Again, Hydragea. If you want to find it, look for Tokyozilla. Tokyozilla, fantastic avatar creator, artist. And then you're gonna find what I'm using, okay? Tokyozilla is also the person who made the Zerg, the Whelpling, the Tiger Bee. Come on, everybody knows and loves the Tiger Bees, right? I'm a happy builder right now. Are you contributing to the slave monument map in VR chat? There you go. Mini Saudi got it. Tiger Bees. I still want a Tiger Bee buddy. I want a little runt. He has personality. He's brave when necessary. But absolutely loyal as a friend. You know what I mean? Tiger Bees are one of the cutest, I swear.
Mm-hmm. And we're not talking the little follower. It might be very, very cute, but at the same time, an actual Tiger Bee.
An actual Tiger Bee, yes. There you go, Axel. Thank you for helping TikTok with the spelling. The Gremlin Companion, precisely. Perfect. Tiger Bees. There was this one Tiger Bee I saw on Tokyozilla server. No, in the Tiger Hive. To all you Tiger Bee owners, have you seen this gray Tiger Bee, I think with blue eyes? And then they were wearing a white outfit with a cap. And they looked like they were part of a delivery service. I absolutely fell in love with it when I saw it. It's the cutest thing I've ever seen. Oh, they track. But yeah. The slide. Oh, you're working on it again. Sounds like we gotta visit it after stream, Bess. Remember the
Mm-hmm.
mystical theme park?
Yeah, true. I remember. Didn't we nearly lose the very Tanuki that made the park too?
He was falling off. Yep. Yeah, I remember that. That was funny. It's in the screenshots channel, in the VR chat pictures on the Discord if you want to see what we mean. I think this was back in February or March.
Back when you were still the Bulper Mix.
Yes, when I was healing from cosmetic surgery. The face wasn't the prettiest yet. Thank you so much. I just got a great scam call. I guess my number's as good as gone. What do you mean, scam call? Why did you redeem it? Do not redeem the card. Yeah, you're gonna hear that, Mitch. Do not redeem. I will do the actual voicing, but that'll involve me like yelling on stream.
Yeah, no thank you.
My God. Mecha was holding onto me, so I was safe, and so that's true. Ever so reliable of a companion he is, isn't he? Now, the AI voice on the other side said something about a 1K phone. 100 million% a scam. Good luck with your great undertaking, which is baking a fruit tart. Tea. Wow, itchy. Wow, stretchy. All right, so where were we? Whew. I'm surprised we've made it at least halfway with the bar. Like, the sooner it gets filled up, the sooner I can actually order the darn things. And we can get the renovation. I actually need to order it ASAP now that I think about it. I have 2 weeks, chat. 2 weeks before I'm forcibly moving in. Or risk. Yeah, 2 weeks. We got this. We got this. $100%. 100%. Anywho, what kind of fruit? Asks Phoenix Vixen to whatever tea. And whatever replies, blueberries and raspberries, if there's any left by then. Blueberries. Funny how blueberries aren't actually blue vest. They're more of a... What shade is it even? How do I describe it?
They're like more of a purpley?
Yeah, like a purpley color. Beth said, sadly, I don't have a pic of my dining room since the table is used as a workbench and my living room is full of my telescope. Oh, right. Beth was into the whole hobby telescopes, wasn't he? Oh, sorry. I'm stretching my leg. Ignore that. Right. Yeah. I've always wondered.
Yeah, right. So he's that rich.
Yeah. I think the first thing I would do if I own one of those funny telescopes is I would like look at the other buildings. Like, if I can see my neighbor from like 5 miles away, that would be the funniest thing. I've seen the cameras, like the Canon lenses that's like this long, do some crazy zoom in shots. Like unbelievable amounts of zoom. I'm like, wow. Beanie says, when blueberries were originally discovered, there was no word for purple. Oh, now it makes sense.
Oh.
Ah.
Hmm.
But I posted my bar kits in the computer room with the wall art. Oh, right now? Okay. I'm gonna go hydrate, chat, and then we are gonna go alt tab into Discord. We're gonna see Blue Scales Lasagna and, well, whatever else is in the media channel. Ah. Purple berries. Right. Purple berries. So it's not right to call me a blueberry now, is it? I mean, sure, I'm blue, but
I mean, closest we could probably call you is blue raspberry, but even then, that's not a real fruit.
blue raspberry. Like, Matt, you want some legendary tales? What's this? Alright, we were gonna go to the food channel. And so there is lasagna from. Oh, there you go. Very creamy. Perfect. 10 out of 10. Okay, going back to the media channel. Am I out of touch from our Beth saying that he's old? Man, there's so many
That's
messages.
actually a really nice place. Jeez.
Yeah. Don't mind the mess on the computer desk. Oh wow, I've always wanted to have one of those ventilation. Oh, there we go. That's the Victorian era, like the museum piece of a cup. Ah, yes. Oh, you got the coffee menu thing. It's very aesthetic. I remember seeing these as infographics over at Facebook, man. Oh, it's a smart idea to have one framed on the wall. Ah, yes. I'm gonna do something similar to that with the whole acoustic foam thing. Except it's all black. When you talk about wide, Beth has this thing called ultra wide. And a giant flagon on the left, probably containing drinks. I cannot say it word for word because I may get flagged. An antique. Is that a miniature bar for 3 people? Oh my goodness, it's so clean. Clean, shiny, well kept.
Something I'm not used to.
Right? You're right. It's so. It's such a blender render. There we go. Spicy water, yes. What Silence 3 said. Wide monitor. The PC under the desk. Ta-ta-tan. All right, let's see what else is happening. VR chat pics. I lost my previous progress. Oh no, Mystic has to make another one. All right. Matthews alone and playing Legendary Tales, of course. My God, looks like we're gonna be streaming. Not so long today. Anyway, going back. Sorry, chat. I was looking at the Discord. What's this? Hello, Geb. Come you are missing your oh, you mean my goggles? Do you guys miss it already? Sure, let's put it back. There we go. There is a familiar headgear of mine. Once I finally have someone to help cleaning the place, I'll post. Wait, Beth, are you telling me that's what you consider dirty? I don't see anything.
Consider
Or-
it that dirty, then my room would get.
Your house is like
Yeah.
the ones visited by the Hoarder staff. You know the TV show? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's not your
Yes.
fault, Vesp. It's your
my fault.
parents. Mhm.
Yeah. I don't live alone, chat. He does.
Yes. That is a lot cleaner than the rest. Ah. I'm just stopping by. Have a nice day. You have a nice day too, Stalker. See you around. I finally found you on TikTok, by the way. I've been following you on Twitch for a while. Usually it's the other way around with the people. But, oh, welcome all the same. I think TikTok, it's much more convenient to watch me over at mobile than it is over at Twitch. The living room has a mountain of old computer parts. Oh, you mean things that might be necessary at a later date? I too hoard my old cables. Who knows when I'll need them again?
I mean, hey, you save money on on cables when you keep your old ones.
That's true.
2 months, O creature.
Really, Mox? Has it been 2 months? Also, thank you so much again for the support last time. I was a bit on the edge of ending my stream, but don't think I didn't see that. Thank you again. I appreciate it. A whole lot. I'm happy there's more people watching the live. Not because I'm growing numbers or anything, but because my heart warms with the thought that the pleasant few that I started with is growing in number, enjoying my company. Because I do enjoy your company too, chat. I was trying to be sneaky. Too late. I remember people that helped me. Whether it's money or not, if you've helped me in the past, you are in my miniature plaque over at my heart. Ah, yes. This friend of mine I haven't chatted with in a long while, but they helped me in 3D. I shall talk about them whenever somebody asks. Goodness, 40 roses, thanks. Hello, Pyromania. Okay, we shall stretch the buttocks. Wow. Gotta get the circulation flowing. What do they look like when you're standing? There we go. Yes, who's here? Hi there, late. You're fashionably late. Oh, what a pun, what a pun.
I mean, better fashionably late than never.
That's true. So, you in your new place, or do you need to get things fixed up? I was explaining earlier on stream how the inclement weather, very much similar to how it is now, has delayed my plans because it decided to rain for a week straight. I was supposed to be moving my stuff to it by now if I didn't get the delay. Right? I needed like 3 days to put the waterproofing on. After that, I'm going to put the walls, the flooring, assemble the furniture. Well, that's the mattress and the bed frame and the mattress. And then set up the plumbing, set up the wiring for the hot water because there's no dedicated plug for it. I have to put a new circuit breaker rated at a higher ampere than what's default, and then like hardwire it all the way to my bathroom and yada. There's so much to do. And then I have to move all my stuff from the 3rd floor to the 5th floor, and then hope things work and fit. It's a whole week I need to take off. But before any of that happens, I need to tip because codes just tip $1. Thank you, codes. I need to treat the water damage that has occurred on the flooring. And that necessitates me buying specialized equipment. That's fancy for a wet vacuum. and, and other things I need. I need to buy extra tiles and get things fixed. And then I also have to pay an extra month of rent because of the delays in the plans. Yeah. Moving is quite a handful, to say the least. The landlord won't fix
Yeah,
their
especially
apartment.
when
Nope.
yeah,
All
especially
tenants
when
here are
repairs are
complaining.
involved.
Yeah. Unlike other modern apartments, they're more expensive. The landlord here, as long as the building isn't crumbling, it's okay. Oh, trust me. All the but thing is, because of that, so much like low standards of maintenance, the tenants can pretty much do anything they want to make their place better. If I were living in a more expensive place with a proper lobby, a security guard, the landlord will be very strict. I can't drill in the walls. I can put my own water heater. I can't repaint anything. No, I can just put furniture. With this apartment, I can completely transform it. No problem. The same way I did with my present unit. That's why I said I'm gonna take that unit and turn it into something super cool. Yeah. Are you gonna do a house tour? Driver, if you were at the Discord, you can see the little works in progress of said apartment. It looks like a abandoned section of the Alcatraz maximum security prison at the moment. I'm not exaggerating. The pros and cons, yes, Sleepy Bunny. I don't know if it sounds worth. Nah, it does. It's just for the choice I'm making, there's more upfront cost and effort. But at the end of the day, you get something that is more personalized. You know how when you're staying in a dorm, for example, or an Airbnb, it's comfortable, it's complete, but it's not your own? You know that feeling? Right? You don't have the ambient light of your choosing. You don't have the colors of your choosing. The feel. You cannot set that. That is what I'm trying to do. But yeah, have you seen the window? It's so bad, right? Yes. Those terrible windows.
I know if you've seen it in the media channel, you know it's bad.
Oh, it's so bad. What's that? I used
Much
to
to the
work
point of-
maintenance, says Mox, in a huge apartment complex, and it was my job to fully clean, paint, and replace any receptacles after a tenant moves away. Thank you. Yeah, I'm working on it. I can join now. Oh, did you just become of legal requirement, driver? Late says, I think that's the point of having your own house. You can do anything and no one can be mad at you. Same with that apartment, and which is why I love it here. As crummy as a place this is, I can at least make it feel like it's my own. Like little slice of sanctuary.
And worse that'll happen? What, a new attendant starts complaining about the modifications you did after you moved out? That's their
trust me.
problem, not yours.
Yeah. The thing is, I'm like friends with the tenants here. We all talk about the same thing. Oh, you know, the building's so crap. Yeah. Oh, it was flooding in my unit when it was raining yesterday. Unlike, I try my best to befriend everybody, get to know each other. So it's like a community effort when we have to raise our voice to the landlord. Like, hey, you know what? The parking area needs light. Funny enough, I'm the one who bought the light bulbs for the parking area in our building. I'm the one donating a lot of crap. So it works. Yeah. But hey, it's the little things. The landlord doesn't seem to complain with the efforts I'm doing anyway.
Little wins, little victories.
Yeah. That's a good policy. Why make enemies? Precisely. There was one time a bunch of the unit next to mine, 301, I think. They had a bit of a celebration, a bit of a drink, and They kind of fell asleep while the rice cooker was on. Thank goodness I was there and my keen Asian nose could smell the incineration of the rice going on. And I promptly woke them up and told them about it. And they apologized profusely, and it never happened again. I also have friends with my. It's nice that all the neighbors. I talked to the old lady across. I talked to the gay couple who owns a lot of cats, and we like exchange cat treats and stuff to try. Like, hey, maybe your kitty likes this. I'll give this to Yami. It's a nice little ecosystem. So yeah. I'm also really nice with the staff of the building. They're severely underpaid. They stay here, they work on the building, maintaining it, without even their own quarters. They just sleep on the bench with an old blanket. Inhumane, I know. And they get $120 a month with no benefits. That's it. And any repairs and any tools they need to do on the apartment, it has to come out of their own pockets. It's that bad. It's that bad. So whatever extra food I have, I tend to give it to them, or little amenities like, hey, let me take this fan. You guys need it. Don't get bitten by mosquitoes. They're also gonna help me with the move, by the way. I offered to give them like $50 each. They're more than happy to help, right? $50 is enormous here in the Philippines, chat.
Especially for a couple of hours of work. Yeah, I bet.
Gay couples are always the nicest, yeah. It's either they're sassy and I like it, or they're really soft and nice and I still like it. Yeah, they're very friendly. We've been friends for a couple of years now. What building is this? What do you mean, what building is this? The one I'm at now? I lost a
Yeah, it's
yo-yo
not going to
challenge.
dox
So
his
here's
own
a fun.
location.
Of course. I mean, I'm very open with my information. If and when you do decide to drop by the same way Shopao did, my neighbor, oh, just bring some food. Ira says, well, I guess our landlord doesn't mind after all those fixes. Oh, your landlord. You're only adding value to the apartment. If you ever move from there, your landlord will make more money now that you refer. That's true. I consider just donations to the building. Like my loft bed here, I'm just gonna leave it, and lucky whoever tenant moves into this unit, because I patched up all the holes of this present one. Bring some fried chicken. Bring some chicken and then I might consider talking.
Ah, yes, chicken for conversation. Fair trade.
You give me a bucket, you get 5 minutes, chat.
However long it takes him to eat the entire bucket.
Yes, however long. Minisari says the advertisement just yelled at me about frying pans. I may need new frying pans now. You know, I swear they're like listening in. Like sometimes I say, I wonder if there's any cheap Africa twins nowadays. And then all of a sudden on my Facebook, it's just all Africa twin and bike advertisements and stuff. They're listening in, I swear. It's like I granted the particular app or whatever microphone privileges. And I'm not complaining though. It means my ads are catered to me instead of me having to look. Wow, such money. I don't have the money for the bike. I have to complete all of my apartment's first lits. And I have to set aside like 6 months of rent for peace of mind because I'm not used to it. The amount of rent I'm paying, 14, is more than twice what I'm paying right now. I don't know when I'm gonna experience financial droughts. I'm gonna set up an emergency fund there, right? And then maybe I can spend on the vanities and the bike. I hope I can get the bike in the span of 3 years. You gotta work harder. Beth says,
It's
bro,
achievable.
100% they are. When I was planning my Galapagos trip, I got flooded with ads for right. I swear they pick up on on the little things that you type. One guy was talking about dog toys. Ah, don't let them hear about the wrong stuff. Yeah. Oh yeah, Beth, sorry, go ahead.
I honestly forgot what I was saying.
Fantastic.
I guess what comes to mind now is, well, dang, so it seems like your advertisements have you figured out. Meanwhile, say TikTok, YouTube, and all that, it'll advertise things specifically for men.
Okay.
Like, I don't have,
Man
like, as much as I like wearing men's clothing and all that, I'm not getting advertised men's clothing or anything like that. It's something that, frankly, wouldn't work since I don't have that anatomy. Apparently, my ads think I'm a guy.
My ads are all, well, if not for the random apartment stuff I've been searching right now, like lights and plumbing strainers, like, you know, the strainers for the kitchen sink and everything that's necessary and whatnot. It'll always be about food. Oh, we have the latest promo on the Thai chicken you like. It's free delivery, Gab. Come on, order. Have you had any roommates? When I was in college, I lived in a dorm. There was 4 of us. We were all avid MMORPG players despite all going to different schools. And we were having fun. It was a really good time in my life. You go home, we get to the games and everything. We have nice cheap dinner together. It was fun. It's like having brothers. I mean, I have brothers, but having my brothers along with me. Sounds like personal experience, yes, Lance. What do you mean by $50 is enough? You see, when you live in a country where minimum wage for an 8-hour shift is like $15 or less, you're going to be put into perspective how much $100 is given to you. Right? To most in the Western countries, it's not much. How much, like, for example, you earn what, $15 an hour? Is it best on average?
Yes.
Like $15
Yes,
an
on average.
hour, right? In comparison to $15 a day here. So what? That's 8 times the spending power,
Yeah, pretty much.
right? $11 an hour in the US. You see, that's a smart thing. In the US, that's unsustainable, right? Because rent is expensive there. The cost of living is expensive. But if you get a low-paying job that pays you in dollars per hour, and you live in a country like mine, you are well off. Right? Think about it. Oh, I'm just being paid $15 an hour, but you earn per month what? Like $3,000? $3,000 in the States? You are like here. Here. A nicely furnished apartment, swanky everything, will cost you at most maybe 40,000 pesos. That's like $800 a month. But that's like top tier. It's all yours. You can fit your whole family there if you want. 100 schmucks for the blue lizard is worth the labor. Yeah, yes. Litz is, I know, a avid supporter of the Jurassic Preservation Streamer Fund. You see, us ancient critters were few and far in between. For us to continue to exist,
Stop calling yourself old.
I'm not old. I'm ancient, chat. I'm prehistoric. I was there when the internet was
Do
still
I need to
dial
start
up.
playing that poor harmonica version of the Jurassic Park intro whenever you walk into a room?
That is going to be my stream intro now, like the Jurassic Geb thing with the shitty harmonica or flute. Yes. I was there when Wi-Fi just started. I'm part of the generation which experienced life without the internet, its conception, and now its full absorption and integration to society. Yeah. I'm not that old, chap. But I've been there. I've been around. You and me, Geb. Yep. The age of 4:3 television where you had to align the antenna to get good reception. I was there before internet and Google. Yeah. I'm sorry, boss. I know I should be moderating stream too. I'm lacking on my job, but this game has me chained up. We will join you after stream. Don't worry, Matthew. Or you can join us in VR chat after. It depends. If our bar here hits halfway, I think it is a cause for celebration, and I may open a nice, fun little community meet. Enough to boost the social battery. And then we're gonna have Litz rolling around as a ball again. We're gonna have a Blue Scales all awkward running around as a questie. Yep. We're gonna have Kendall mysteriously dropping in and out. Excellent. It's okay, we can all hold hands. It depends on you, boss. And most it depends on chat. I'm going to DM you after, don't worry. Might be one of the few meetups I'll be able to join. Ooh. Okay, chat. I will look a little uncouth. I have to stretch my leggies. Not uncouth, sorry. What's the proper term? Uncouth is like a verb, I think. What do you call like improper
Disheveled?
posture?
Scrunch?
Casual? Like you're not
Casual,
following?
yeah.
Yeah, a little more casual.
Yeah, casual, loose.
Yeah, a bit loose. Bev says, I also discovered a funny thing while I was looking at my bald head. Why is that so funny to... I'm sorry, Bev. Let's read it again. Bev says, I also discovered a funny thing while I was looking at my bald head. Because I was balding after I shaved. 1/3 my head is tanned. 2/3... Oh no, we're the... we have a two-tone now? Oh man. That's... You know what? I think that's cool. Think of it as a vanilla ice cream cone, right? In the poorer countries, you're served like white ice cream on top of like a orange-ish cone or a waffle cone. Maybe that's how the visualization of your current tanning situation in your head is.
Sunscreen buff.
Sunscreen. That's Vesper. That's true.
Yeah, sunscreen. Don't burn your scalp.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me. Or like wear it. Or at least do what I do. Like you don't want to get sunscreen on your scalp. Just wear a hat. I'm blonde, burns easy. So you know what? Hat.
Right. Well, Vesper does look pretty cute in a cap. Lit says, maybe I'll try to join the meetup in VR later, but I'm not sure if it works. I think I would wish to see how your setup works after moving, Litz. And you in VR, my goodness, I'm sure a lot of people will be happy to see you that way. What's this? The most clothing money I've spent on are caps for sure. Yeah. Oh god, I'm zoomed out. Sorry, chat.
Those
There
get
we go.
expensive fast. So I've
Mhm.
got one hat. I stick to that hat. It just lasts me a good while.
Laggy, you may wanna elaborate on what you mean by laggy, Bastian. Laggy? I wear hats, but yeah, I never bought sunscreen. Beth, you can. I mean, I know it's kind of it's gross. Sunscreen feels gross, as useful as it is, and I use sunscreen too. But it's just gross. It's thick. It's icky. And worst of all, in my country, if you put sunscreen and then you drive, expect your face to act like a fly trap. And all the dust, dirt, and grime is gonna go stick.
I mean, there's the spray sunscreen that you could just, you know,
Ah, yeah, Bastian, that's just her
put just
connection,
sprays on.
I think. Yeah. You get used to getting sunburnt living around the equator. That's true. I remember me not wearing long sleeves because it was so hot. So I was riding my bike, right? Like that. Arms outstretched and everything. Just a shirt, a helmet, no jacket because it was not what I wore that day. After a drive, just 45 minutes under the beating sun at 12 noon, I could immediately tell that like the gap between the exposed part and not is sort of like how my jaw is with the rest of my body. So this is the untanned part and then this is the tan. Like look at Vesper's arms. That's a perfect example. There you go. Look at Vesper's arms. Yeah, there you go. There, the other one. That's how I looked. Minus the obviously third-degree burns going on your right arm, Ves. Your left one. Yes. The rider stand. Luckily, there's a sunscreen that can spray. No more icky feeling. She's almost a dragon. She doesn't affect. Oh, trust me. Yes. Bucket. Thank you, Jester. Death sticks. I wonder what death sticks are. Minisauri says, I live in Spain. We get absolute desert temps here at the moment too. I touched the sun for a second and look like a half-baked tomato. Yes, you and I share the same pain. If it ain't super sunny and radioactive, it is absolutely rainy and drenched here in the Philippines. Tobacco. Ah, I see. Honestly, it would look a bit odd seeing Gib without face tracking. Where did that even come from? Do you want to see how it looks like? It's terrible. I'm gonna spare you guys the curse.
I used to show up here without face tracking, but those days have long since passed.
That's true.
It's
That's
been what,
true.
3 months, 4.
Yeah, Vesper here didn't have face tracking back then. The first few months on stream, she didn't even have full body tracking. Now she has upgraded, and lo and behold,
Yeah, true. You can get full body until what, December of last year?
yes. A single maker. Hey, Geb, I'll be honest. I love Vesper's avatar. I mean, what's not there to like? Absolutely beautiful, isn't it? What model is this? This is what you call a pouring, chat. Usually comes in pink, bounces around, drops slime when defeated. Where was I? Hmm. Well, they want to talk handsome. My goodness, you sound like those middle-aged waitresses in like a American diner. They're gonna give a little flirt while they give you like what your milkshake or your burger. All right. Now I gotta
Yeah,
go.
hoping for
Bye
a bigger
bye.
tip.
See you
Considering
later.
how,
A
probably
bigger
hoping for a
tip.
bigger tip considering how at least here in the U.S. waiters maybe make $5 an hour.
Oh,
Most of
what?
their pay
Really?
consists of tips. Yes.
That's very little. My goodness, fine. See you later.
Most
See you
of their pay
later in the
consists of
meetup, Liz.
tips. So, say you work like 8-hour shifts every single day of the week. Your take home from the company is
$7.
$5. From tips, it all depends on how much people tip.
Oh.
It's optional here, so sometimes waitresses take pretty much nothing home from a customer.
Dang.
So it's pretty similar to the streaming industry. All depends on your luck and how
So when I'm serving fries,
charitable
here you go,
the
chat.
people are.
The people with sent tips. But you know what? That's actually a thing here. Most traffic enforcers and police officers, they stream while they go on patrols or do stuff. And not only does it make people like them more, they the agency actually celebrates these content creators, right? Because they're putting a good name to the cops, and then they also earn so much money. Right? They're gonna say, "Yes, salute to you, sir. Thanks for the great job and everything." And then they do the usual where the money that they get, they buy helmets or they buy food and relief goods to the needy and poor. One of the styles that I see they do is this motorcycle cop, right? So on his streams, he's going to pull somebody over. Sir, come here. Do you know your helmet's old? Is that even that's substandard? Like it seems like he's going to ticket or fine the guy, but no, go stay there, sir. Of course, the guy's scared. Sir, please, I'm sorry, I'm poor. I didn't mean to. This is the only thing I have. The officer goes back, of course, walks back to the anxious guy, and then here, take this. So solve your problems, and it's a brand new helmet. The guy's happy and everything. I mean, it's nice. It's a nice gesture, sure. I think, and then one of the things most watched in the Philippines is the MMDA clearing ops. So the Metro Manila Development Authority. Think of it as the guys. They're all on trucks, a mix of police officers and government workers, where they go down and they actively remove illegal vendors, stalls, illegal parkings on the spot. Like we love it when they bust people live. Because yes, finally no more traffic in that area, or finally no more guy who says he owns the car space that he's parking at and he gets stowed away. It's fantastic. I love it. Hiding from a
Basically,
police
that's
officer.
just rude people getting justice, huh?
Rude people getting justice. Precisely. And it's live. It is so good. We all love it. Like, we see the system, it's working, right? And then we also see these, how do I call these people? The arrogant, rude people getting justice served towards them. Oh, see ya, Kage. Have fun in Monster Hunter. Mama Dirk, my goodness. I'm desperate ain't gonna be no mom.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Nope.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Nada.
No.
Nada. Reed says, I decided to call out of work today. So that's why I wasn't here at the start. Oh, Reed, I thought the insulation finally got you. Welcome back. How's that oil leak at your fantastic vehicle? Thanks, Matt. Are you Mexican? No, no. She deals with kids enough at her job. My boss is a beach with the sands and the waves, and he didn't raise my pay. Your pay? I just gave you a promotion the other day. You now have the brooch, Matthew.
Is this number a
What are you
tasty
talking
rice
about?
recipe? I need more ways to make tasty rice.
Tasty rice? I'm sorry, Mox. What was that? I didn't hear the first part. A recipe for. Also, thank you for the tip. Oh, my other boss. Okay, okay. I was going to say, you and Howler just got a promotion. Ah. Are these models considered for... You know, that's a great question. I think we still fall under that umbrella, yes. Mox is asking, for 20 bucks, what is your tastiest rice recipe? Alright, here. Let me tell you the joys of Hainanese chicken cooked in your rice cooker. So you have your rice, right? So as usual, get 2-3 cups. 3 cups if you're gonna share with somebody and then you wanna eat some more later. Hainanese rice, get some chicken. Ideally, it's leg. Clean it and everything. Put it on top. You go mince some ginger, grate it. Put it there. Put some... And then you put some, what do you call it, the chicken broth cubes. Put some chicken broth cubes. Put 2 of them in there. And then you cook it as usual. Trust me, it's the simplest thing. And then after you prepare some ginger sauce, some of the minced or diced garlic that you have grated, you put it aside. You put some... me, I use sesame oil. I don't know, it's not the usual recipe. Sesame oil. And then a teeny tiny bit of salt. And then after that's all done and cooked within the hour, you're gonna end up with an aromatic blend of rice, chicken stock, and like the most tender steamed chicken inside. And then you just eat it as is. Trust me, it's so good. And then obviously you have the sauce and yes. Do I cook the chicken in the rice cooker? Yes, you can. Seeing as rice cookers are small, you don't put a whole chicken in it. Like get like the thigh, like 1/4 of a chicken, 2 pieces. Put it there. It's delicious. Another recipe I do is fried rice. Fried rice is very simple. Filipino style even more. So you get your rice that's normally a day old or so. You know, the thing that you're about to throw away. No, that's still useful. So you grab your old
Let me
rice.
just fix that number a bit.
Thank you, Axel. Got OC with the decimal. So you get your old rice, you put it in a big wok, right? Your wok is in high heat. Ideally, you put butter. I like butter, it's more aromatic. Some use vegetable oil. So butter, high heat. You saute some carrots, some peas. You get scrambled egg and you dice it. And then you get some Very important. You need to get some hot dogs. Hot dogs that you slice into like little coins, not into bits, coins, like they're discs. And then you put them there, you just. And the most important part is garlic. You have to put garlic in there, chopped minced garlic, because it's what's gonna bring it all together with the smell and the flavor. And then just pour it all over your plate. If you don't have hot dogs, you substitute it with Spam. It's just as good, just a bit more expensive, obviously. Yeah, always put the garlic. Normally, you can buy jars of already dried garlic, like cooked dried garlic, and you can just sprinkle it on top. There you have it. And I hope that was worth you $20. Oh, your own recipe, all right. Since when does Spam get expensive? In the Philippines, Spam is expensive. Because you're looking at the wrong mirror, Madik. Ever make brisket queso mac? Are we back to the mac and cheese talk, Reed? When did Spam get explosive? Where are you moving to? A new apartment. 2 floors up. Spam is like $4 where I'm from in the US. I remember it being much cheaper. Okay, so here you are, the average wage earner in the Philippines, and you take home your usual $15 a day. So how many percent is 4 out of 15? Out of the 8 hours of work
Pretty
you
big chunk.
rendered just to buy 1 can of Spam, right? That's why it's expensive. So yeah, listen, the average Filipino's budget for a meal, well, using myself as reference back then, if you were to eat 3 meals a day, rice and just enough like meat or veggies, it would be $1 to $1.50 per meal a day. So we spend under $5 on food per day. And that's us just being average. If we're really being frugal, it can be down to $1 or no, $2 a day. What do I do if somebody gives me bad life advice? You listen to them. Bad life advice. Ah, that's a quandary, isn't it? You were just given one, yet you're asking for advice about it. Waffle. All right, here's most. 2 cups of jasmine rice, salt, pepper, MSG, olive oil, sweet corn, quinoa, fresh grated. You immediately made it very complicated. Mine is like college easy tier. But let's read. So olive oil, sweet corn, quinoa, fresh grated parmesan, cheddar, sharp cheddar, a little MSG, dried mustard, and some poultry seasoning. 1. Parmesan's expensive, so is cheddar. Sharp cheddar, I don't even know what that is. MSG, I have a lot of that. Pepper, olive oil, sweet corn. What's quinoa again?
It's like some sort of pasta thing. Tiny little balls.
Oh. Oh, okay. I got it. It's a grain. Okay, you have the fancy rice. I will eat it, don't get me wrong. Late says we pay $75 for 3 bags of groceries. Oh yeah, inflation. Really is a terrible thing. My goodness. Things have gotten so expensive, hasn't it? Well, yeah, that's a big chunk. Surprised they don't know regional pricing like other companies do. Well, instead of sticking to the regional pricing so we can afford it, we instead go buy the Chinese alternative. Have you ever heard of Maling? It's like under $2, and the serving is like larger than Spam. It's tinned luncheon meat. It tastes excessively porky, and I cannot guarantee if it's 100% meat, but it does the job for a lot of Filipino households. Maling. To be fair, it is delicious though. Box says I live in the US, so that stuff is readily available here. Would cook rice for you. Everybody deserves good food. I think you and I will have a good time in the kitchen, Mox. We are exchanging ideas, tastes, and whatnot. Little experimentations. Reed says, speaking of MSG, my aunt owns local berry farms. These berries don't use MSGs or spray. MSG? We don't. MSG is like a salt alternative, Reed. It's not like bug spray or fertilizer. GMOs, my God, it's it's all that insulation you're inhaling. The little pasta balls are called couscous. Quinoa is a seed closely related to beets and celeries. Oh, I see. I live in Sweden, says Nordex. Here we are fortunate to have good living standards and a good job that pays good. I love how you made a little flex, Nord. I too love living in my little urban ass end of Night City. Yes. Where I can't even afford a waterproofed apartment already. MSG is pure umami flavor. That's why I have a whole Tupperware of it, ready to have my little pinches on the foods I serve. That's true. Did you know MSG is actually a naturally occurring thing? MSG.
Which is why if you hear, oh, MSG's bad, MSG's yada 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 here in the US, that's a lie.
It's a lie, chat. MSG ain't bad for you. I mean, too much of anything is bad. Like, eat a spoonful of salt. Yeah, that's bad. You're gonna eat a spoonful of MSG? No.
Yeah. No. Exactly.
Yes.
There was this whole thing, like, back in the early 2000s, I think, where...
Yeah.
Oh, the food's got MSG, and then people would all of a sudden start freaking out, like, oh my god, you poisoned me, yada yada yada. It's just a sprinkle.
I know, it's just a sprinkle that makes Chinese cooking so good. Oh. I could go for some Chinese right now.
Mm-hmm. It's not actual poison either. Like, they'll say, like, oh, apple seeds are poisonous, don't eat those, but at the same time, do you know the quantity? Do you know the quantity that you need?
Cyanide. Right? Right. It's supposed to be cyanide. Yeah, cyanide.
Yeah. Just tiny amounts in each seed.
Mm-hmm. Did somebody say a spoonful of MSG? Yeah. I use a lot of MSG on the things I eat. Because I'm half Chinese and I enjoy Chinese food to its fullest. If it looks weird, it's probably poisonous. I like orange chicken. You and me both, buddy. Yeah, bananas are radioactive. Or the funny potatoes can power a light bulb sort of deal. Reed says, what is your buldak recipe you talked about? I have to tell you in voice chat one time, Reed. I'm gonna drop by the drive-thru. It's delicious. It's just shit. What do you call it in English? Damn onion leaves. It's not chives. Chives is too
green
big.
onion?
Yeah, the small
Green
ones.
onion?
Yeah, green onions. It's just green onions, eggs, some seafood, a little bit of cream and cheese, a lot of quick melt cheese on top. Scallions, yeah, scallions. Or was it garlic leaves? I think it's garlic leaves. Nicotine says, I could mess up a Chinese buffet right about now. 9 whole plates and 2 bowls of egg drop soup. Oh, egg drop soup or like the sweet and
Oh,
sour
so
soup.
delicious.
That's so good. Get some dumplings, maybe some duck on the side, get some spring rolls. I could go on. You need the cheese
Let's
on
not
top
make
of the
chat too
pata.
hungry.
Yes. I have my notes ready. There you have it. Ooh, we have 15 minutes remaining, chat, and then I gotta go. What if I do the whole I gotta go right now and I actually end stream on time by the time I end stalling? It sounds like good advice. Yep, that's true. You can live the rest of your life without the helmet in space. It's completely possible to skydive without a parachute.
Oh, you
Once.
can only do it once.
You can only do it once. I already wrote down your rice recipe. We'll get the ingredients after work and cook it. Mox, if you need reference, you can always Google too. Hainanese rice. Mine is more, a bit homier in the recipe. The actual recipe involves a few extra ingredients, I do believe. But yeah, good luck with the cooking. I hope it's delicious, and when you eat it, I hope it reminds you of me. I'm gonna use the Geb recipe. Fantastic. Do you now? Why does bad life advice have a cooldown? It's simple so people can give me time to think. If people were spamming it, that would be bad. Thank you, Husky. Curious, how does chat appear to you? Is it just floating in front of your face? Yeah, something like that. I have a floating window that it's not visible to you. But for me, it's a mirror of what I see on my desktop. So I can see OBS, my chat, my other chat, and so on and so forth. And I can see Beth adding a decimal point. Ow, my eyes. Something went into it, an eyelash. Anyway. So Beth decided to go do like some stretches like this, like, and then like a few coins from the 18th century drop like from his pockets. Like it's made of pure silver, nothing big. Thanks, Beth. Now somebody has to do 100.01 decimal point. Yes. How do I effectively end a stream? It's simple. If you have little nieces and nephews, you let them in the room and say, hey, I'm live. You can make a lot of friends in Roblox if you say your greetings on my microphone right now. That's how you effectively end the stream. Bad life advice. But hey, it's 99999, yes. What is it, Vesp? I said Roblox and it seems like you wanted to say something.
Yeah, no. Of the times I did revisit it, I would not suggest being there in general anyways, because they are unhinged.
Oh.
They're
it's
like
the-
TikTok, but 10 times worse.
Oh. I see.
Yeah, no
Okay.
thank you. I'm gonna leave that account to my sister.
Yes. Also, why is it? There we go. It's just- Got it. It's gotta be like 998.74 for it to be checked. I leave the mathematical adjustments to you guys. All I'm gonna do is be the middleman. I'll just buy the necessary apartment crap and pass it on to the guy who's gonna use them, which is gonna be me as well. I do the purchasing, I do the planning, I do the labor. Oh boy. I already ordered a fan the other day. It's a industrial fan. It's like 20 inches. The funny thing is, today was the third attempt of theirs to deliver it. Unfortunately, for some reason, it says delivery attempt unsuccessful. Not enough time. I'm not sure how the fourth one's going to go, if they're gonna push through with it even. Because I'm gonna need that fan if I'm gonna start working on the walling and everything, or else I'm gonna suffocate from the lack of proper ventilation. Yes, Reed. Ventilation. You see, Reed, unlike you, who stuffs his nostrils with like the pink insulation to keep the fresh air out, I actually need breathable air when I'm working on things. Proper airflow keeps me from dehydrating from the heat. Mhm. Thank you, Katie. What do I do if I feel very lonely, even if I'm living with my parents? Bad life advice? It's simple. When the pangs of loneliness become rather stronger than usual, during around 10 or 11 p.m. in the night, when your parents are starting to finally unwind from their day, you walk into their room and sleep in between them, just like you would when you were 2 or 3 years old. I'm sure it will stave off the loneliness of you and your folks. Bad life advice, Jack. I have 3/8 copper couplers I can use to open up. No, it's just gonna stick them on your nose. Like, where's my nostrils there? Beth says, who is colorblind, mind you, my sense of smell is as good as my ability to see green. Ah, so Beth will do well in a room filled with lactose intolerant people indulging in a milkshake. I see. The most excellent ability, isn't it? Imagine, you can hear it, but you can't smell it.
Oh
My goodness.
God. Listen, I already have 2 family members who are lactose intolerant, but still refuse to give up ice cream.
Oh my
I'm already
goodness.
traumatized as is.
So,
Either that or they hog the bathroom for an hour.
right? No, consider it a minor superpower, right? The ability to not be able to smell it. Right. Like, come on, give me your worst. Like, nothing at all.
Are they nothing?
No, nothing at all. Completely unfazed. Hey Geb, can you smell when it's gonna rain? Yeah, of course. It's like the ozone of the atmosphere changes and the thickness and the dampness of the air. Like, oh, it's gonna rain. Lactose intolerance be damned, says Axel. I have a toxic relationship with dairy that I will never leave. Me too. I would rather like turn into fossil fuel than not be able to drink chocolate milk. That's terrible. Probably as bad as putting an onion inside a humidifier. What's this? Nicotine says, my stepfather used to chug 3 bottles of Nesquik on long car rides and then lock the windows. It was fun. Oh, Satan needs to take notes from your dad. My goodness. Imagine having a bunch of kids just secured in the back seat, and then he's like, it's time for the ride of your life. kids."
Evil.
Yeah, evil, pure evil. My goodness. You can smell the rain better than most dogs can smell everything. It's a cool human fact. I don't know. Geb oil, yes. My good old 300 octane. It's totally not gonna ignite fuel. Never give up. No, I will never give up on milk products, says Zerda. The pain is worth it. It's just like me whenever I have buldak. You know, the Korean spicy noodles. So here I am eating bababa. Delicious. A couple of hours later, you lament your choices. While contemplating on the porcelain throne, you think you're done, you stand up, you tidy yourself. Nope, you do a 180 and do the same thing again. Read, come on, don't spam it. Yeah, he's evil, Nicotine.
Yeah, you highlight one more message read. Most I'm gonna do, as a warning, is just put you in timeout.
Oh my god. Imagine putting Reed in the timeout corner. There's a little pen, right? A little pen free from like the pink insulation.
Mm-hmm. Put
Oh,
like
no
little marshmallow
drywall.
caps on his antlers too, so he can't like
They
ram
can't
his way
headbutt
out.
things. That's true. It's like little caps.
Yes, bad and not ideas get sent to the timeout corner.
Barton, you're looking at it. Free Reed. Give a penalty box. Lemongrass says, I had a friend who used to eat eggs just to do the same thing and gas out the room. He would do well in World War II, I assume. Oh, that was dark, wasn't it? I mean, World War One. You know, mustard gas. It's moving on. Moving on. Gas out the room. That's completely your fault, Lemongrass. I'm shifting the blame to you. I'm sorry, chat. Look. Lemongrass said a friend would purposely eat and accumulate egg gas in their body to unleash it in a room enclosed filled with people. That's horrible. Completely horrible, inhumane. It's like the fartocide. It's terrible. My goodness. Moving on. Egg gas, mustard. You know, if you put mustard on an egg sandwich, Reed, Doesn't mean you have both of what you just said. Hmm. What's with you today? I don't know. It's just the weather. Probably. I wish I was 99 pounds as average toaster so I could eat a pound of cheese be 1% cheese, but that's true. Imagine. I used to make jokes too, like after eating chocolate, you do know you're part chocolate now, right? It's true now. It's true. You are partially composed of burgers. Who are you with today? Vesper. There is Vesper.
Hi.
Dyan. Wha- There you have it. That should answer your question. Oh my stars and garters. We've actually made it to 2 hours and a half.
We're just 1 cent off from halfway mark.
We're 1 cent off from the 50. It looks like there's no community meet today, chat. We did not make 50%. Oh, well. Which means I get to play video games before I start watching funny wet vacuum reviews. Oh. With that being said, congratulations on reaching the end of stream. And I will catch you next time, chat. Says, should I or should I not get out of bed? Read, stay in bed. You called out of work for a reason. I listen to a bit of rock, yes. Thanks for the stream, Geb. Take care of yourself, of course. Thank you for the support, Moms. You too, Beth. And everybody else. Anonymous. Need $1. $1 is all I need. Mm-hmm. Hi again, Jazz Dragon, okay. See you in the next one, of course. TikTok, I will 100% see you again day after. Will I be live day after tomorrow? I will probably be live if I'm not full on renovating the apartment.
Mm-hmm.
I will be announcing it on Discord anyway. So yes, TikTok, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. See you on Friday, possibly, chat, if not Monday. Bye, TikTok. If I can click the damn thing, hold on. Oh, yes, right. Index controllers, not responding. There we go. Bye. And so, today's TikTok stream ends. I close this. Why do you look scary or intimidating? Am I scary, Chan? I think I'm probably one of the more friendlier looking dragons aren't out there. That's good. All right, so we're here again. We're stuck with Twitch. That's Vesper live stream. No, she just shows up here during my streams.
Yeah, nope. I am not a streamer myself.
Oh, there you go. You're back.
You just want me to draw things out?
No. You lag for a moment, so you did kind of.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, sorry. But yes, I basically just hang around, moderate chat. I'm not a streamer myself, but I do show up, So I'm sort of like a companion. Not really a co-host.
Yeah, she's my companion. How much more simplified could it be, Chan? So if you want to see her, you know which stream to tune in. I don't think Vesper has the
I don't
finds
have any
solo streaming as a
restrictions
comfortable
yet.
space yet, right? I mean, you can if you wanna.
And nope.
But there you have it, everyone. Vesper's the chat babysitter, according to Mox. And she is
Baby sister or babysitter?
babysitter. Hold on, let's zoom in a bit. There we go.
Meetup time.
I mean, I did babysit for a good while, anyways. Only stopped because a kid bit me.
Oh no, Mystic. What's that? Hold on. Mystic did a thing. Yeah, we're past now. Oh, the stream ended like 5 minutes ago.
You sure? It's still running.
Do you guys really want to meet up? Who's gonna hang out anyway? Let's see. Litz is uncertain, but she said if she's going to show up, it's going to be in VR. Well, obviously there's Vesper and I. Matthew will probably go hop in as well if he sees me here. He's just waiting on my word. Howler we can probably drag along as well. So that makes 1, 2, Mystic, Howler, Matthew, 5. And the rest is you. Tja. Never been in one. By the way, I advise log in PC desktop or else we're all gonna look like funny pixelated thingababobs to you, alright?
You don't get to see the high fidelity or the face tracking without PC.
Yes. Never using my Quest 1 as stand. Oh my goodness, Quest 1 standalone? I cannot even imagine how that's gonna look. I'll see you around, Spartan. If you're part of the Discord and you've been active in my community for a bit, you're welcome to join the meetup. I haven't announced it, did I? You have to be at the very least have access to the drive-thru. That means you gotta be level 20 in order to join the meetups. Well, exceptions here and there to people I personally have met and known. That's just so I can get a better grasp of who and what kind of person you are. Because before I opened it up to everybody, Vesper, right? And then there are a few bad eggs and few bad actors who joined and made the meetups really awkward. We don't want that to happen again. So to better screen people, we want to have them more active on the Discord. Oh, I don't know, Mox. Yeah. To be fair, I have not announced the rule yet, right? So technically you can show up. I have not finalized it yet, nor set it on stone. Maybe just make it level 10. Who knows? It's rather easy to get it. Geb, what's this world called? Shit. What's this world called again? Rain or shine? When is this taking place? The moment I end stream. Normally what I do is after I stream, if I have more... No, I actually ate. That's the thing. After streams, I go hang out in VR chat for a few hours with my friends or with the community meets. I'm not much of a big group person, to be honest. So if you see me just being quiet and whatnot, it means my social battery is down. I mean, I've been yapping on stream for a while too. Beth says, I'll need to eventually set up VR chat, but I still got like 2 hours of work. Are you watching me while you're trying to make the world a better place? Okay, no worries, Beth. You are more than welcome to join anytime. No worry. I do want to thank you personally. Well, as close to personally as I can. I wonder what Avi Beth's gonna choose. Curious. Because all of us starts with the public one. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. A Vive Pro. Oh man. The Vive Pro I perchance. Oh, my bum is starting to hurt from the plastic stool. Chat, I'm not gonna lie. Part of the funding over there, it's gonna go to me purchasing a better stool. Because it's, yeah. Sitting here for a couple of hours, yeah, straight, does put the strain on the gluteus maximus. Definitely need something better. Oh yeah, by the way, you have to join the group first before any like meetup shenanigans happening, okay? Join the Discord, type your introductions, join the group, and then we're good. I don't really play VR chat anymore as it's lemongrass. I'm kind of stuck in another game, no problem. Alrighty, so with my butt having its blood recirculated property, let us go see what's going on at Twitch.
Kai's life.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
That'd be an easy spot to dump off chat.
Should I dump chat there? Let's listen. Oh, they're playing Peak. Who they playing with?
Kazoo? Kaju. It's Kaju, one of his friends.
It is very cute. It's a little poof ball.
Exactly. That's why I was like, I looked at
Okay, that's one. But before that, I need to see the usual who is online in VR chat. Oh, not that. Oh, look at that. We're so close to the top row. No, then never mind. We're 20 viewers away. All the top yep. All right. That's cool. What's that? I'm seeing, is that beans? There are not much streamers today. Oh, okay. Let's see. Yes, I saw Rain. It was quite the interesting patch. Hi there, Metal God. Gotcha, Mox. I'll tend to all the invites after I close the live. Hello, Voltage. Peak is indeed quite fun, based on the videos I've been seeing. I think it started from the little clip by Chibi Doki where she was falling, and it was quite hilarious. The falling and the screaming part.
Would I stick it in the ground and eat it?
I got you.
All right, I'm gonna distract chat by throwing you all to Kai. Kai is a wonderful artist. He is playing Peak. He made the server banner on the Discord. And how the heck do you raid again? So I do this, do that. There's no street raid message. Don't worry. /RAID. Discord JPEG. Now, without further ado, I know I usually stall and everything, right? But let's save the energy until Friday. Yes. If you guys have something to do, by all means, go do it first. If you want to go rest, please don't let me hold you back. It was nice having you guys here. I'm surprised just with one stream. One stream. We are halfway there. That's nuts. It means we are going to get the apartment up and running sooner than expected. I was anticipating like, I don't know, like 2 weeks or minimum until we get to halfway. But here we are. Thanks, Beth. Thank you, Anonymous. Thanks, everyone. I'll be on Discord, streaming what's going on in VR chat. Yeah. See you around, gang. Bye-bye. Good morning. Good afternoony. Good evening. And most of all, good night, chat. See you soon.
Because I got a broken ankle.
Okay. What happened? Ah, Geb! Shit! I'm being followed by bees. Geb! Welcome, Raiders. Hello. Fuck! I'm still followed by bees. No! Get away from me! Stop it! Hello, Raiders. Welcome. Hi, I'm Kai. I'm trying my best to not die.
The bees.
I am crinkling. I am absolutely crinkling. Get away from me!
I feel like if I touch this, I'll die.
Hello, welcome, sillies. We're peeking. We're doing a pika.
Get rid of those bees.
I can't. They're following.
I'm
God
trying
damn
to
it!
wait till I have enough. I'm trying to wait till the poison dies down.
There's so much poison on me, dude. There's so much goddamn poison on me. Okay, I think I'm good. Well, welcome, sillies. Welcome. We're doing a little bit of a collab with Kajupi. Kajupi, say hi.
We are.
Hi.
Hello, I am Kajupis. I do art and I do gaming and apparently
Good.
drinking.
Yeah, we're doing a little bit of a peek with a little bit of a sippa as well.
I might pass out.
Hello.
Do not pass.
No,
it.
we're good.
It's bad for
Have I told you today that I love you?
Wait. Yes, I know.
If you want to hang out with
Oh,
us,
here.
we're just gonna
Let me
be
say
chatting.
goodbye to
Yeah.
Kai first.
Here.
Because I'm still streaming. Just kidding. Bye, chat.